get then the
Who's going, by the way?
16th?
To what?
The mayor's dinner.
I think the whole table.
We
Are
are.
we all
I
going?
don't know.
Our wives going?
Are you gonna be out of
No,
town?
I'm going to my son's lacrosse game. I don't know if I'm gonna be back in time.
Bring
Well,
him.
your wife's going, isn't she?
You were coming to the first one.
Huh?
I know.
She can go without you.
Bring a date.
Just indoor lacrosse?
Outside.
You have to come.
Are you coming?
Of course, yeah. I canceled the trip to Florida.
This is a workshop, right?
It's
All right,
dedicated.
are you
Yeah,
ready?
take your
It's a
time.
workshop meeting, correct?
Yeah, so it's
All right.
Yes.
Yeah, you've only been doing this for.
Since we're hosting, I think we probably should.
Yeah, we all should.
See that thumb?
No,
Does that
you
mean we're good to go?
Well,
All right.
He heard me.
Is it a wired connection?
Good evening, and this is February 5th, workshop of the Village Board of Trustees. We have a fairly limited agenda tonight. We are beginning to take a look initially here at the budget, and also Jake has something to discuss with us a little bit later on. We began taking a look at some dates, and Christina has put together a calendar for us to consider. We began looking at this about a week ago. And so as you take a look at the calendar, we are at February 5th, Village Board Workshop, and we are doing just a preliminary description and look at the budget tonight. It was put together with, I think, 3 days or so notice, 4 days, and so we're getting off the ground, although department heads have been advised to begin their planning back in January. And as we look at this, Wednesday, coming up next week, there will be department heads notified, and they've actually already been, regarding the necessity in form of estimates for revenues and expenditures. We have a workshop Tuesday, March 5th, and this will be a further discussion. This will be a little bit more in-depth, because by then, this will be a little bit more thorough. It has been asked that we make that a 6 o'clock meeting rather than a 7 o'clock. This is on March 5th, our regular next workshop in March. Would you like to do that, or 6:30, a compromise in between the two, if it's easier for work? Rather than, I think they were saying if it becomes a lengthy discussion, it'd be nicer to start a little bit earlier than
Yeah.
a workshop.
I'm good with 6.
yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah, there is a law that if you have meetings during dinner time, you have to provide a meal.
I'd love
You
you.
see their faces? You see their faces down there like,
Monster.
I did, I got them all to be like quiet for a minute.
A law.
Believe in our hearts.
All right, yeah, no, we'll make 6 o'clock, yeah.
6 o'clock?
6 o'clock.
I just won't eat for you, sir.
Then we'll make note of that in our next board meeting. We'll officially change that. We then, on the 14th, Thursday, that is a day in which we also have a public hearing. No, it's not actually, March 14th. That'll be our first board meeting in March after our preliminary workshop Tuesday. So we will continue that and discussion. And they have suggested again, our clerk and treasurer, 6 o'clock prior to our board meeting, our regular board meeting, so that we're not using that time during the board meeting for discussion.
Workhorses.
Interested or not?
Jeez.
Thursday, March 14th, you're talking about?
Yeah.
I am.
6 o'clock.
That would be the last.
6 a.m. if you want.
That would
6
be,
a.m.? I'm up.
I'll provide
I'm off.
pizza.
Because on Thursday, March 20th, there would be a presentation. That would be our second, actually, that's not the second. She will present it to the board, copies, and then on the 28th, the clerk will present the budget to the board, and the board will review and modify that tentative budget. That will be our last opportunity, is that correct, to comment and to make changes prior to it going to the paper
No, actually, once the tentative budget is filed with the clerk, it cannot be changed.
Once it is
after-
filed with the clerk and the clerk presents it to the board, it cannot be changed.
It can be changed after the public hearing.
After the public hearing, because we did that last year.
So, well,
Yeah.
so the notice will go in, the public hearing will be on April 11th, and then any changes which will arise from any discussion and suggestions, et cetera, from that meeting can be put in, and then the adoption of the budget form.
So we're just asking for 2 changes in times,
Looking for 2 changes, Tuesday, which will be the next workshop,
March
come
5th.
in at 6 rather than at 7, and March 14th, which is our first board meeting, to again meet at 6 prior to our scheduled board action. I have no problem. I'm good with
Yeah,
6
no
o'clock.
problem.
I have nothing to do. Thanks. All right, so it will be noted in our next board meeting for the agenda, those changes. Okay? All right. You have been provided with an initial worksheet. It has a format that was somewhat, that is similar to what you have seen in the past as it looks at 2016-17, 17-18 actual, looking at our budget, the original amended one for this year, 18-19, and then actually where we are through the end of January. And projected 19-20. As you look at what you have been given, you will notice that there are lots of gaps. That projected budget green line has lots of openings in it, and that is because there are a lot of things that have not come in yet. As noted, the things that are coming from the department heads are being looked at for February, beginning about the 13th, which is next week. So a lot of preliminary work is being done, and that will be filled in as we take a look at our board meeting the next time for the workshop. We will be much more in-depth looking at this, and the blanks will be filled in to a great extent. Okay. But it is a beginning to look at. If you are aware, and we are all aware, the governor, there was a meeting last week, a public meeting. The county executive, as well as Rick Milne, the mayor from Honeoye Falls, also Gary Penders, mayor from Spencerport, were at the meeting. Mayor Milne read, and I hope that you were able to read what he presented. He read for us, representing all of the villages, the 10 villages, we'll call it a letter to the governor regarding the funding of AIM. And this has affected, of course, towns as well. Not just villages, it's also the town. If you have looked at the Webster Herald, you noted that the town supervisor wrote regarding AIM and the loss of funding for them as well. So it is the opinion of several legislators that I've talked to that this is a bargaining chip, and that it will be used over the next month or two prior to the April 1st call for the budget for the state, but we do not know. So we are anticipating and plan, and we're not having those $33,000 or so.
Well, this is a result of the federal saying that the state isn't going to get some of their own allotment. And it's just rolling down, you know, really fast.
Well, it is rolling downhill to some extent, but, and that's probably a reference to the paper today. But if you look at the comptroller over the weekend, he talked about the fact that they have taken in billions additional revenue this year that they hadn't anticipated. So it's more of a ploy, I think. And certainly I think we know that the governor has something against villages. He would like to see villages tend to disappear and become brought into towns, and from their towns into more of a county government. So I think that this is, certainly affects villages, 480 of them out of the 530 in the state, so very, very directly.
Well,
At
their
any-
very base is they really do want to get rid of villages, period.
Right?
So, we've really got to fight for everything we can get.
So my opinion and thought was that we should keep that as a thought, that we do not plan for it, to have that money, and if that money comes in, it would be a bonus for us, actually. So it's not a guarantee. So as we move forward, I have asked, actually I took a look at some of the increases by contract with the union and with our staff. If we increase by 3%, as we have in the contract, salaries, it basically turns out to be about $31,000 increase, and that is equal to the 33, almost the 33K that we would lose from Amy. So as we look at having to fund that increase, as you all received from me, you saw the email that I sent out. I have asked the heads of the departments to consider looking for about a 3% decrease in their lines. And it's not individual. It would not be every line. It would be, for example, as I think, Jake and I talked about, maybe it's a delay of a vehicle. That in turn would result in an overall decrease in the DPW. There are certain things that are in each of the departments that could be looked at, and not every line. And that's not my intent to do that, just go down through. But to look at what is possible, and if they can do that, that would be good. And that would put us in a good position. I've asked for that, okay? And we'll see where we go with that. You have in front of you a look. I will, I guess, turn this over. Christina, you can maybe want to talk a little bit about it, and we can then comment from there, and we have a basis then for moving on.
I would like to bring to your attention the fact that you see before you, the first two columns there. The first column is our old numbering scheme, and the second column is our new numbering scheme, which will continue to go forward. So for this budget year, I thought I would include both for you, both for the department heads who are used to the old numbers and the new numbers, so we can get used to them. Those will disappear, of course, next year, but for planning purposes, I thought it was helpful to have those on there. Along those same lines, if you go to page 3 of the general budget, you'll notice that a lot of lines are bolded and in a specific color. That means that, for example, on page 3, office supplies and Easy Pass, for example, are being combined into one line. So 1325,402 is now called office supplies. And we have combined what used to be office supplies into office supplies Easy Pass. Another example is auditor. We're going to fold into the auditor line the financial advisor. Because there were only so many account names that we could use, I tried to combine things so that it would be simpler. Same thing down further, computer assistance, website, and computer hardware. They're all similar items, so they're all going to be under one line called computer assistance. And you'll find those kind of bolded lines throughout the budget. and they're grouped together in a specific color too. So you'll notice on page 5, for example, all municipal association dues will be combined into 19,400, and all the little ones are gonna disappear, so they're all gonna be combined into one account.
That's good. That's good.
Insurances are fixed asset appraisals being folded into insurances. Major road repairs is going to be the main line, and it's gonna include materials, micro pave, and street paint. So that, again, those items occur throughout the budget. If you look back on the
Now-
first two,
I have one question.
yes,
So if we are looking in the future at a NICOM expenditure or FLBOA, and it's all grouped into one, is there a way to designate if there are differences, or will there not be?
there will be no difference. It's all municipal association dues. They're all considered municipal association dues. So the total dollar amount that I've allocated, I believe that, that one it's gonna be close to $5,500, but you see that there's a blank line, there are no dollar amounts for NICOM, Village Association, FLBOA, or Commerce, Chamber of Commerce, because they're all being folded into municipal association dues. It's gonna be one account number.
So when I want to know what these specific dues are for
I can
each one,
easily tell
I
you.
will come and ask you.
Absolutely, yes.
Oh, all right, it's on it.
It's what
The accounting program that we're
There
using
will
now,
still be a line, not a line, but there will be a note that this is for,
Exactly.
because of the
We
vendor
still
we're
need to know
using,
that.
because of the vendor. And it's easy, it's not like we have 100 or 200 association dues that we pay, so it's easy enough to pull up a report and tell you. And I must say that this new program will be wonderful for all of us. It's a lot easier, it's a much more user-friendly. The next couple of months are gonna be difficult because there still is the task of reconciling, making sure that we ran parallel between both programs for January. So the task at hand is to check to make sure that what happened in our old program is exactly what happened in our new program, to make sure that all accounts balance and tie. So that's coming up too. If you look back on the first 2 pages, the income factors that are on there, most of them are pretty close to what is going to be. Our current assessment is at $252,852,365. So that brings us to an assessment and a tax roll of $538,576 for the 2020 year. Pilots there are also definite. Phillips Village will be $27,000, Xerox is $32,500, and Barrett Place is $1,000. So most of the revenue lines are on par for what they're actually supposed to be. I tend to ride on the side of caution and being more conservative, so my numbers are a bit more conservative perhaps than some of you may like. If you want me to change that, I can certainly do that.
I have a question in terms of looking at from 16 to this year and next year. Actually, even 17, from 582,000 to 536 was a significant drop of $50,000.
Because of Xerox.
That was because of the
The
Xerox.
Xerox assessment
So-
dropped.
Have you had any projections on that into the future? Is it pretty consistent the last couple of years?
Yes. Yes, it has been. Last year was, I don't have it handy, but, well, yeah, last year's assessment off by $10,000, roughly.
Yeah, because they're still reducing theirs.
Yeah.
So,
And even, you can even tell that too in the assessment for the pilot agreement too.
What's the cable TV?
Franchise, it's the funds that we get from Charter Communications for franchise services. It's, comes in twice a year.
Okay.
And it gross receipts tax is growing nicely. An energy company named EDF, I'm not sure exactly what the abbreviation stands for. They have started paying gross receipts tax, so as you can see, we've consistently been going up. Last year, we estimated 55,000, we're already at 62,000. And that number will grow for this year, this fiscal year, to roughly about $80,000. So I estimated next year's to be 80. If we make more, great. Again, I like to be conservative.
Well, one of the things I asked was if we knew the specific ESCOs that were operating here in the village.
I'm working on that project. I Googled ESCOs in our area, and the ones that are paying us didn't even come up, but different ones did that don't, so
Oh,
it's rather interesting.
that's all right.
It's rather interesting.
Yeah.
There certainly is that, and there's also making sure we have a handle on the number of refuse collectors, et cetera, that.
Yes, Megan's working very diligently on that, and she's got all of them in line. And AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile, those go up 3% every year. They're on staggered different schedules, of course. Some begin at the beginning of the year, some at the end of the year, but they're all consistent. You'll notice hall rental fees have gone up because we have iCircle renting rooms and Weight Watchers, so that's gone up triple. We budgeted $500 for this fiscal year, and we've grown to $4,400, and the year's not even over yet.
I think it's because of the new chairs. People like the new chairs.
Got
Yes,
it.
they do. And it was standing room only, they said,
Seriously?
yeah.
Yeah? Great.
Should get some more chairs.
Well, yeah, there were no chairs, no. There were people, I wasn't here, my wife was, but the whole thing was packed.
Good.
Good.
Yeah, it was a good one. Thanks a lot, Carl.
It's good money.
Thanks a lot, Carl. Did you get that in the camera? Thanks a
So,
lot.
well
Carl.
done.
And as Daryl said, this is very preliminary. I haven't had time to, just as I said in the email too, I haven't had a chance to go through each line with a fine-tooth comb, which will be done by next week. And then I'll get the estimates from the department heads by March 1st, and at our next board meeting, next workshop, we can certainly answer more questions. But if you have any questions about things that are there right now, I'm happy to answer them if I can.
This probably is more for Will possibly, but second from the top on the second page here is building permits, sign permits going from
That's what I was gonna say.
39,000 to, and we've only collected basically 5,000.
Oh, because that's for Brittany Woods.
So
That money will come in from Brittany Woods.
that will come in from that.
Right, so whether it's now or we move it into next year, I'm not sure when they're, but Will said that the next couple of weeks, they're going to be filing for all their permits. So those funds will come in, that's why it dropped to 6,000 for the coming fiscal year, because we don't have another Brittany Woods on the market, so.
Do you know the impact, because they came online this year, do you know the impact on the property tax with phase 4 opening up in terms of the apartments and townhouses on North Avenue?
Mortgage tax has gone up.
Was there a little bit of an increase?
While sales tax, I will also say, has grown by $30,000 over the first two quarters that we've been paid. So my sales tax estimate for last,
That's gone up, yeah, that's been very nice to see.
yes, it was up 15 one quarter and 17 another. So I didn't over budget, but I bumped it up 20,000. Could I bump it up probably more, perhaps, but, so yeah, I've seen an uptick in the sales tax also.
And that's the little tidbit that the governor's thrown out there, that with internet sales, you'd be all getting a little bit more money. for
Yeah.
tax. would also tell you that I looked at the fee schedule. I don't believe that you have that, but I'll try to make that available to you. I passed this through to Will, and I have changed most of the fee amounts that are on the schedule. I took a look at this schedule, compared it to 2015, and it was the same basically as 2015. So the time for looking at applications, the time for going out to inspect, all those costs have increased, so I have gone through and modified most of the fees. You can take a look at it if you want.
I was gonna say,
And I passed that on to Will to take a look at, and,
Oh, yeah,
he will
because
give-
it's not by, yeah.
it's not overwhelming, I'm not
No,
looking
that's
at
4
doubling
years.
prices, but,
4 years not changed,
correct.
so, yeah.
And some things that were more recent in changes, I did not look at change, so. So anyways, we're just taking a look at the fee schedule as well. Something else that we'll be considering is fees for the towers, the wireless communication facilities. There are fee structures for that as well, and I'm sure that they would be part of an increase in what we look at for future.
I think you have a question now at the end.
Yeah.
For the, I mentioned this to you, and I just wanted to get the board's opinion on the plumber's licenses. We charge 60, and we were gonna raise it up to 65, which is fine, not a big deal, but I asked Megan, she's working on this project, kind of determining what the town charges, just so we can see, and they only charge about 20. And we're on a much larger scale, so just wanted to put that out there.
What do you mean,
Well,
what do you mean they're on a larger scale? So if you replace a toilet in
charging
town,
more.
it's more expensive than the village?
No, but there's so many more.
And I think that might be one of the reasons
That's why it's lower.
we do that.
Exactly.
There are
It's
so
a
many
value.
different companies that might be brought in to a very large population, where we would have maybe a very small number of companies that are going to work. I don't, I suspect that could be the reason.
Yeah.
Have we had any complaints from those who are looking at
Yes,
permits?
they always complain about it.
They always
They
complain.
might.
That's why.
I
That's why.
don't think it's
'Cause it's still
overwhelming
not
for
easy
a
now.
year. Or so.
Yeah, no, that.
When this is finalized, I'm sure we'll get a copy of it.
Yeah, sure.
It's also
As I said, I passed it on to Will to take a look at and to comment on, and that will be part of what we discuss next. It comes back to us.
No, that's a good question.
Nice.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, we'll talk about Huh? it. I printed it earlier, the black and white, that's why.
Yeah.
This is the one that's part of that was for, I think, I don't know. We'll go back, clerk treasurer line, with the equipment, page 3. 19,000.
19,000 is estimated for this coming year for the rest of the accounting program. And 5 of that is being, 19,000 here and 5,000 in the sewer fund. That's the remainder to pay for the program itself.
Right, I see the 5,000 equipment there.
Yeah,
Line
because
200.
24,477 was already paid for, and it was all paid by the general fund.
Right.
We're allowing the sewer fund to pay that in the coming fiscal year, pay us back and pay the remainder. So that's a solid number, that's not gonna change. Well, I'll just ask, total expenditures, you'll notice, are way down, because, again, a lot of the lines are still blank, they haven't been filled in, so that's why this is so preliminary, but just a chance for us to talk and ask any questions, to get the ball rolling on thinking about what to plan for where.
Retirement has gone up a little bit over, well, this is actual, we don't even know for next year. It's gone up certainly over what it was last year. Is that reflecting the increase at the New York State retirement system that they're asking contributors to pay? Is that why it's going up?
Yep, can never really tell, I mean, it's all based on,
Right.
I can
We had
estimate the
great
best I
years where
can.
the
Exactly.
market was providing a lot of money and,
Yep.
and
Yeah, I mean, you see the $10,000 increase in, let's see, it was only 4,000 between 17 and 18, and then $12,000 more this year. So even my estimate doesn't really work too well. I estimated 98,000, and we came out at 101. I mean, it is based on our salaries, and there's a special formula, you know, and I try to follow that formula. So I guess I was close. I was off by $2,000.
in terms of personnel line, you have a separate sheet.
I did just a summary of all the DPW lines and totaled all those up because, as you know, those,
Yeah.
it's a bank of money that's spread out amongst all the department, all the snow plowing, landscape, parks and rec, chips, and all those account lines. So I took, there's the actual from last year, the year-to-date number, and then the projected number of 4% of last year's estimate. And at this point in time in the budget, we are down, I think the estimate was $450,000 for the year, $37,485 a month. We're currently paying out at $32,500, so we're doing okay 8 months into the budget. So just wanted you to see what each line represents and what the total is, and it's a 4% increase, of course, because there's various steps for many of the DPW employees.
Anything else that you would like to
So, Chris,
bring up?
is, just for my own benefit, is 4% what you add to as far, across all lines, you add 4%?
Did I?
Yes.
No. Again, I didn't have an opportunity to go through every line, but I started from the top, and like I said, income is pretty solid.
Yeah.
It may vary a little bit. But all payroll lines, I bumped the office staff to 3%, and as the report here shows, I did 4% for all of the DPW lines.
Okay.
STP's at 3, because they've already maxed their steps, so they won't be able to have more than 3%. Other than that, each line will be reviewed closely as to what we've spent to date, what coming expense, I've been reaching out to some of our vendors and like the auditors, I'm waiting for their final say. For example, the auditor line this year, we'll have to allocate $2,100 for our single audit because we had a federal project. And they require special auditing because we spent over $750,000 on the project, so they have to do a special audit. Additionally, we have to get a special valuation because of GASB 45. They have a special requirement to look at our OPEB accounts, our health insurance, the actuarial calculations that they have to do, and that's another $3,250, along with the $2,100 and the $12,000 audit fee. So that line at this point in time is about $18,000, I think. Almost $21,000 for the auditor this year.
Yeah.
And that includes, like I said, the $2,100 and $18,000 audit fee and our GASB actuarial valuation, which is $3,250. Now, the GASB 45 valuation actually has to now be done every 2 years. It used to be every 3, but now it's every 2 because of the Governmental Accounting Standards Board. They have a special rule, they have to get special numbers every 2 years. A lot having to do, I think, with New York State retirement. Does that answer your question, Carl?
Yes.
The ones that I had time to review, a lot of the lines, I will take, all of the lines, I will take a close look at to see where are we, how much have we spent to date, divided by the number of months we've gone through already, what are the standard costs that we're doing every month, paring down if possible, where possible, because the income at this point in time looks to be close to about $2,400,000, give or take. So that should be our threshold, not to go over that.
Page 4, Christina, bond council at the top. We're folding that into the village attorney.
Yeah, but we won't have any bond counsel fees.
We will not.
No, we're done with the ban for North Avenue Connector.
Yeah.
Bond counsel is only for when we do bonds.
Well, we might be.
For the general fund?
No, that would be in sewer.
Right.
It's going to come out of sewer.
Yes. Their expense, their money.
Good.
That is still being discussed by, I think, Jake, the engineers. Has not come to the table yet for the boards, at least to me, in terms of that joint study and the results of it. I have had some conversation, and have observed some conversation between Jake and Clem, and but we're waiting for the town to formally come forward with a proposal. However, you are all aware that in terms of 302, we fall within the cutoff of hardship, and that has significant bearing
Yes.
upon maybe our going forward. So we are taking a look and being prepared. Do not want to be caught off guard with maybe that, because they do it very quickly and they give you a very small window in which to apply. So we will be in a position to do so. So that's why I asked, Chris. Thank you.
So, looking at sewer, the income figures are similar to what they were this past fiscal year. Since the rate won't go up, based on this budget for now, income's the same. I bumped up sewer charges, the commercial billing slightly because more users than more money. Obviously, that will all potentially change given whatever decisions are made in the coming weeks. Again, not all the lines obviously are filled in yet because lots yet to be filled in.
And they have a number of things that are combining together as well.
Yes,
A
sir.
little bit less, actually.
Yes,
if you look at the second half.
mainly the combinations are going in the general, in the governmental side, which is the 1325 accounts and the 1910s. So the auditor and financial advisor, again, are also being combined, computer assistance and computer hardware is being combined. Insurances and the fixed asset appraisal are coming together. And I tried to keep all of, because the sewer lines are kind of specific to the sewer, so you can't really veer much from that, so. The good thing in the new account setup is, as you can see, the core numbers are the same, so 8130 is always gonna be sewer. Your 421, which is vehicle fuel, is gonna be the same whether it's in DPW or in sewer or in trust and agency, it wouldn't be in there, but telephone is 413, and that's gonna be the same in DPW and in the sewer. So from that perspective, it'll be easier to remember what goes where. Chlorine obviously is specific to STP, so the larger numbers of the 400s are set up more specifically for STP. Sludge hauling 449, lab chemicals 447, and so on. And that's why there's less combination in the sewer, because they're more specific to sewer. So you'll notice too, 90, 60, 800, for example, is group health insurance. And that's the same for both general fund and sewer fund, it's just the letters change. General fund is A and the sewer fund is G, but the account number is the same.
Yep.
I was looking at RG&E streetlights, back on page 7 of the general, and have noticed here that to date we're at 53 and budgeted 90,000. This is at the end of January. As we're moving now to a more lit
I
day
wouldn't
by
say
sun,
that,
how are we doing?
I wouldn't say that January's in there yet. Just because it's through the end of January doesn't mean we've been billed for January yet.
Right.
So really, when I look at those kinds of lines, I take 7 months, because in January, we would have been billed for December. In February,
Have we noted a decrease in our billing by putting in LEDs?
I think it's too soon to tell.
Noting that difference or not?
I think it's too soon to tell, I would say.
Yeah.
Because that street light line is generally 6,000 and 7,000, and I haven't seen a variation from that. It's too, I think it's too, I believe it's too soon to tell.
Assuming the tariffs changed as well, because there might have been, at the same time, a corresponding increase, but it didn't go up as much because we did change some of them over to LED. We changed about 100 and, this is a little over 100, about 115 lights, and it was converted to LED. But if there was an increase on the whole system as a whole, even though if those went down, there's about 400 lights in the entire system, so it might not see much. It just might not go up as much as it would have otherwise.
When did we make the conversion exactly again?
Well, we did some in
October.
June. We just finished some of them though.
But by October, they were all done, right?
Well, it was all, almost.
So October streetlights was 7,200, November's was 7,600 and December's was 7,600, so there really isn't much variation so
Yeah, I don't
far.
know if we'd have
It's
to
still
look
too
year over
early.
year and see what they were as far as energy.
Yes.
Well, their energy, they're not metered, so,
Yeah, exactly.
but it should be in the tariff from what they're telling us per fixture.
Okay. Anybody else?
Please feel free, if you go through these pages in the next couple of days, couple of weeks, feel free to email me. If you have any specific questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Call me, come and visit. I will be out of the office the week of President's Day, just FYI.
I was excited as I looked down here on some of the last pages. For example, there was a note. Fund balance, the amount to balance the budget, $822,000, we're in the black.
Yeah.
I thought that was pretty good, and even for sewer here, it says excess revenues to expenditures, $327,000.
I don't think she put your
However,
salary.
there are a lot of little blanks that
Yeah.
have to be filled in yet, so.
That's the problem when it's not completely,
Can't we just leave it like that?
Yeah, wouldn't it be nice,
just getting the ball rolling.
But thanks,
Absolutely.
that's a good beginning, Chris. It's a good beginning.
I've given you an opportunity to take a look, and again,
Yeah.
as questions come up, please ask, and we will continue to move on. We'll follow the schedule as much as possible, and we'll be back at this again.
13.
Okay, then, thank you very much for that summary. And we will move now to Jake, who has a quick,
Careful how you phrase it.
Different Jake.
temper. Quick point of discussion.
Oh, I thought I was doing a whole seminar. I spent this afternoon preparing one.
Jake.
No, I just, on every February, there's a NIWEA, which is New York Water Environment Association, and the Air and Waste Management Association have a joint seminar. It's over at Burgundy Basin.
That's where you
Well, that's plus, and that's the only reason. There's representatives from industry and from DEC there. They're giving a lot of the talks. Karis Mannion's one that we deal with a lot with the DEC, as she's leading the moderator for the water session. It's pretty interesting. They're talking about Lake Ontario waters, Irondequoit Bay, emerging contaminants, and, these are different things, emerging contaminants, and resin and treatment technologies to address those things of concern. So it's always interesting, there's always something good to take away. So, it's $65 for, sorry, I'm calling about my credit card, or some pain management, or something else. There's always, always some good takeaways, and it's $65 for government employees, so I think it was under the seminar threshold, but I just wanted to share that I was going, and Heather made me.
Are you with them? You're the only one going?
Was it?
You're the only one going?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'm okay with that.
Sure.
We had a chance to talk with Karis regarding anything that was brought up in the discussions for the sewer.
Not anything definitive, there's a
There were a
discussion
number of
about.
questions, and I just wondered if anything was brought back. Maybe you have an opportunity to kind of bring things up with her again.
Yeah, and there's certainly a discussion of keeping, some of the questions that we're asking and having an ongoing dialogue with them and with some of the folks at the DEC to to talk about different options and things, so.
Are we even thinking about talking about the sewage with the town?
Are we what?
We're gonna talk about the sewer situation with the town. We had talked about a joint meeting.
We don't have any.
We don't have enough information.
We don't have anything back
Yeah.
yet. It was back in November that we were supposed to have the meeting. The two sets of engineers, as well as Jake and Art from the town, the DEC, sat, talked, brought up some points and said we're not really looking at apples to apples. More information was requested. We provided that in December before Christmas, and we are now awaiting, we've had a discussion, I think once since then,
2 weeks ago,
about 2 weeks ago.
yeah, the engineers got together to review some of the questions and comments based on the additional. We were supposed to have a meeting November 20th, and it was canceled. And then they made a request at that time. At the time that they canceled the meeting for additional information from us, we provided that sometime shortly after, it was a week or so after, provided that information. And they've been running those numbers and putting everything together. And I came back, we met again about a week and a half ago, and now we're waiting a little bit of information from the engineers to put some final numbers together so that that can be presented to the boards, so that there's consistent information that's.
There were a number of options, and probably all are aware of them. We've had a discussion somewhat about them. One of them is that we go in with regional all-in, and I'm not sure that they're interested in taking the debt that we have, but all in. There is one where we would keep our collection service. We also would keep the headworks. The sewer right now on where we are, that treatment plant would become headwork screening for what comes out of the village, and then it would be sent on to the town for treatment. And one of the options is we would maintain that at the headworks, if you will, at our current treatment plant. Another option is that the town or the regional take that, and we're just responsible for our collection. In other words, all of the pipelines and all of that that's here in the village. And the other is that we stay separate. So, they are looking at possibilities, they're looking at the options. They want to be able to put, a cost out there, what it's going to cost. And the bottom line is going to be what is the best option for the village residents. So we're waiting for a date. In the meantime, we're also looking at being proactive in a couple of things that we need to do in order to be ready for things to. We will be coming up next school board meeting. All right, well, thank you. If there's nothing else, I would announce that our next village board meeting will be on February 14th. There will be a public hearing on that date. It will be in regards to the new law for this year, law number 1, 2019, which would be regarding the wireless communication facilities, both tower and non-tower, and also fee structure. Okay, so that, I believe, is scheduled for 7:15 or close to it.
Hey, guys, I have one thing. Megan has been working really hard in our office to make sure that the plumber's licenses and the lease hauler's licenses are all up to date. She's been working really hard on it, and in the village code, we she's done a little research, and for some reason, the plumber's licenses are due at a different time than the waste haulers, and it's kind of a pain for her to keep having to, like, she's following up all the time, so we would like to update the village code and change it so it's all at the same time. It's something she'd really like to do. So I just wanted to put that in your minds.
Pass that on to me, please. As to where it is, I'll look at it.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you. If there's nothing else, then I would entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting. It is now 7:56, I believe.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
It was nice to
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us. Yeah.
Dinner meeting next
And
time.
according to.
Yes.
her-
So you're not gonna be here for the,
I will try to be here by 7:30.
Oh, for the vote.
5.
oh, so you won't be here for the public hearing.
How long it goes. I will be here in my wife.
Our village employees.
So, that big chair up top?
I know, it's